So I have behaved in the last 2 days. I have never raised any questions in the last 2 days, so I have been listening. So I wanted to hear from you. Actually, I really learned a lot. It's a great deal. And your contribution, what you said, we take them very seriously. At IFPRI, as I said in my opening remarks, we are developing a new strategy. So CRP2, CRP4 will be part of our research mandate, research work. So today is the first step to elaborate a little bit more about CRP2, and the CRP4 will cover some of the elements in linking agriculture to health and nutrition. But in the meantime, I heard lots of issues and lots of new agenda that probably will not be able to be covered by either CRP2 or CRP4, but these issues will be covered in our new strategy. So the delineation among our new strategy and the CRPs have become even clearer. Now, so why now? Many have said that this conference is very timely. In 2008, we had the global food crisis, and in 2010, 2011, we had another one. Now, it is true that the agriculture and the food security have been back on the agenda. So after 2 crises, so it's very costly for everybody to realize that we got to focus on agriculture, we got to pay attention to food security. I'm glad to tell you that, yes, indeed, they are back on the agenda. G8, G20, the World Economic Forum, so where I just came from about a week ago, so Bill Gates, the World Bank presidents from many countries, Africa, from emerging economies, have paid attention to agriculture, to food security. So this is good news. Let's really make sure that this momentum will continue. And here I also heard from the regional stakeholders, regional policymakers. They do pay attention to food security. They do pay attention to agriculture. So there's a new window of opportunity. Let's work together to make sure that we seize this opportunity to make sure that agriculture, food, and food security will continue to be high in the development agenda. So what we already know, we know that the region's food insecurity, malnutrition, and poverty are very high. I'm very glad that malnutrition have been a very much focus of the debate here. And the region will face even more challenges in the future. Climate change, lack of water, lack of land, the energy has become even more scarce, and in the meantime, the population continue to grow, and they have become urbanized. So the people will demand more and better food. And we heard that high unemployment, especially among the youth, and this is one of the reasons why the Arab Spring came, and a limited agriculture potential with some remaining yield gaps. I think our colleague Mahmoud has really highlighted that. And the food sovereignty and the food sufficiency is not the same. So let's make sure that food security does not equal to food self-sufficiency. So it will be very costly for a region, for every country to achieve self-sufficiency. Then we also heard that poor governance, poor institutions, and weak capacity has been one of the bottlenecks for the region in achieving better food security. So what is new? So we have heard all this. Some are similar to other regions, some are unique to this region. So what's new here? I heard that food, water, energy has become together. So nexus approach. So it's not, you cannot just talk about agriculture without talking about energy and water. So we have to use a nexus approach. In the meantime, energy, renewable energy, has really created some pressure for food, for water. And then the rise of triple nutrition burden, the malnutrition, obesity, and the micronutrient deficiency. So this has come out very prominent in the last 2 days' discussion. This is something new, as I heard. And a focus on macro and household level food security. So macro level, at the national level, how can we achieve food security? But more importantly, at a household level, intra-household allocation. Can girls access to the same amount or same quality of food? Can women access same amount of food as men? So intra-household allocation is so important. And expect a strong impact from the climate change, especially on the poor. So this region will be hit very hard, unproportionately than any other region. And income from non-farm employment has become more important, even in rural areas and for the poor. So again, this is something I picked up that is quite new in the debate. The fish production has great potential. So my colleague Steve Hall has really convinced us the fish production has great potential in our whole food security agenda. And the fish production has to come from aquaculture. So ocean fishing has a limit. We also have heard very clear, very loud, lack of timely and reliable data on poverty, hunger, malnutrition, and government spending, all kinds of data. So on the one hand, the data come very late. On the other hand, this data are not very reliable. So poverty data, hunger data, malnutrition data, they are either not available or they don't come at the right time, and they are not very reliable. So the way forward, we got to position agriculture for broader development outcomes. So agriculture is an instrument. We got to reposition it for achieving food security, conflict resilience. So this region is very prone to conflicts. Employment, nutrition, health, land and water saving, and low carbon emission. So agriculture has a role to play around all this. So agriculture is a center for achieving all this outcome or impact. So what we need is a framework that can assess the cross-sector impact. So one sector's intervention will have impact on other sectors. We need information, we need data, we need a methodology to assess this cross-sector impact. Then a regional approach. The regional trade agreement has been signed before or has been debated before. But some of the other regional setup or establishment is new. For example, can we work together to set up a regional reserve? So during the crisis, during the emergency, we can share the reserve. We can ship the reserve to the poorest poor, to the country that needs the grains in short run. At the meantime, national level should also have the optimal amount of grains. This is a research topic. So how much do we need? What governance mechanism do we need in shipping the grains from the center storage to the places where it is needed? We have had some experience in Asia. Some have worked well, some have not. I think it's very important for us to look at that issue, the regional shared grain reserves. And improve data transparency and information. I will come back this a little bit later. And understand implementation and a policy-making process. I'm very glad to see that the policy-making process, a policy process, has received very high priority during the CRP2 consultation. So it's one of the highest. So this is to my surprise. So now I understand I shouldn't be surprised, because lots of good policies have been proposed, have been analyzed, but they have not been implemented. Even if they are implemented, they have not achieved original design objectives. So we need to pay attention to policy-making process. And support country regional net development process. Again, we have heard that country needs capacity, needs information, needs data. So let's work together. Let's make sure that we truly support that process. So how do we do this? So support country-led, country-driven, country-owned process. G8 in 2004 earmarked or pledged $22 billion in helping the countries in developing their own, the country-owned, country country-driven, country-owned strategies for achieving their food security. But have we moved down to the country level? So today, I'm still very disappointed. We have not moved very far down to the country. From our experience, we know that if the policy is made, is analyzed, is proposed by the country, and it will be adopted, and it will achieve the impact. The experience in Vietnam, in China, in India have approved this. I'm pretty sure in Africa, in this region, the country-led, country-driven, and a country-owned process will lead to much greater impact. And in this process, we need to engage with different ministries, civil societies, local think tanks, and universities. And the IFPRI has been setting up these country support programs in 7 African countries, 2 or 3 Asian countries. So together with regional organizations, and we can do more. And in this region, information, data is so critical for policy making, for evidence-based policy making. As Nadine mentioned about evidence-based policy making. But without information, without data, it's very difficult. And when we have the data, when we have the information, how do we share the data with others, or information with others? Again, IFPRI has been supporting African Comprehensive Agriculture Development Program called CADAP. So the CADAP is a region-owned, region-led development process to allocate 10% of their national budget to agriculture to support 6% agriculture growth. So what we try to do is to help them to bring the information, bring the data to the country, to policymakers, different stakeholders, so they can access the information, so one-stop shop, so they can access all kinds of information there. And this information can also use as a peer-reviewed mechanism. So the countries will challenge each other. Why you allocated 12% of your budget to agriculture? Why I only allocated 4%? That also helps the policymakers to convince their political mechanism or system to engage, to allocate more funds to agriculture. So I really hope that together with our regional stakeholders, we can also set up this web-based information data system together with some of our CGIAR partners, with some of the regional stakeholders. And especially we need a smart strategic partnership. Turnus is our coordinator of partnership. So he's really pushing a very strong partnership with other institutions at global level, regional level, and country level. And the smart strategic partnerships have to be done all the way from conceptualization to impact. So even in the very beginning, we involve our stakeholders, our partners. Then we move down to impact. The whole chain, partners have to be there. Then strengthen the cooperation between international and regional organizations, and particularly here in the region, UN-ESCWA, Arab Leagues, and other regional institutions. So we can really work together to strengthen our partnership. We bring the experience from other countries, other regions to the region. The reform experience in China, India, Vietnam, the World Bank, Kim, the lead economist, has mentioned about this mutual learning. And the national partnerships is especially crucial for some of the countries where the poverty, hunger are still the most severe, and where the agriculture can play a large role. So for example, Sudan, Egypt, Morocco, Yemen, to Syria, where the agriculture still has a very large share, where the food security has been a serious challenge. And towards an Arab Food Security Partnership Network. So this, together with this so-called regional strategic information system, then we can form some sort of partnership. So we share the information, we share the knowledge, and we can share the products, particularly to communicate some of our research to the policy-making process. Many have mentioned. So the communicating our research results to high-level policy-making, to politicians, and to the citizens is so important. And this conference has been a great opportunity to enhance existing partnerships and develop new ones. So all the people here are our potential partners. So let's all work together to develop a strong partnership, to communicate or to conduct research, to communicate our research results to high level policy making and to our general citizens. Thank you very much.